Hello, everyone. We've got an awesome show for y'all today. I'm, of course, here, and I'm joined with Lippy, but we're doing things a little bit differently today. We have King Jonah himself, a.k.a. King Corn, a.k.a. Cornholio, a.k.a. the agricultural farm belt of the Apex Coalition. Jonah, we're honored to have you here today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the commentary right there. That's some titles for you.
Yes, absolutely. Lippy, are you doing all right?
We're doing fantastic. I'm pouring one out for my fallen comrades and Kevin Curn and Jack House, but hopefully they'll be back on the podcast one day.
Yeah, as a sneak peek into behind the curtain, everyone, we've done some really deep Google Analytics analysis, and Jack and Curn rate terribly among audiences aged 15 to 90. Their only audience they do well with are 5 to 15-year-old male children. According to Google, obviously, we just get the feedback from Google, so we'll see if they can pull their ratings out of the toilet. So, Jonah, this show is kind of just about you. We're going to ask you some questions about you and your fantasy philosophy. We're going to get your takes on some broader NFL subjects. We're also going to bring up some of the stuff that we talked about on a previous episode to get your feedback on that as a vocal delegate and representative of democracy in the league. We know we want to get your take jotted down as quickly as possible. What we will start with, though, is for a zero legacy point member like myself and all of the other ones of us that just live in the dark, fucking around, doing very terribly every year. How do you win a championship, Jonah? What does it take to become the Supreme Apex Coalition Commander? Talk us through how one achieves the peak of brilliance.
Well, I can't speak for I think, what is it, Hunter and Kevin Curn? Did Golly win? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Golly won 4 years ago.
Jack, yeah, there you go. So with those three and then Jack and I, those are the champions. For Jack and I could speak firmly on this. It is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs will win you a championship. Whoever has him wins the championship.
Okay.
I remember the championship game for my season that I won. It all came down. It was Aaron Rodgers versus Stephon Diggs, and they just beautifully played each other that Monday night. And I just remember thinking, there's no way that this 13-point lead is going to get me anywhere. Rodgers versus Diggs, and of course Diggs comes out, has a huge game, scores a beautiful touchdown, and just puts it over the top in the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that. That's Lippy. It's so. Why haven't we drafted Diggs? Lippy, why don't you draft Diggs when you head into the draft?
That's a great question, sir, and it's something we'll have to look into for future drafts. Yeah. Diggs may go for 100 credits this year.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, I would do 200, yeah.
Alexander, for the viewers at home, maybe can you explain legacy points for us? Because I'm not sure everyone knows what his creation was back then to make himself feel better.
Okay, so legacy points are something that Curn thought up on the toilet after Jonah beat him. And he was really, really sad and really, really blue, and he made these arbitrary points that don't mean anything unless you're Kevin Curn. And basically, if your name is Curn, you have 50 points, and if your name is not Curn, you have less points than him. And those are legacy points. For anyone watching back home, if you're thinking, boy, that sounds kind of dumb, you're following perfectly. They are. I do want to.
It does nothing.
Yeah, no, they're worthless. Jonah, I do want to ask, because there's been lots of talks about divisions, and you came through the division system for your win in a very sad tie break against a less fortunate team. There's been talk about changing the way the wild card and division seeds work. Do you like the system as is, or do you think that seeds should be redone when the playoffs happen based off of record or points forward, or do you like the system as is?
Actually, I feel like we could honestly expand the system. I think that there should be the 4 division winners. There should be. And I think you should throw on 2 wild cards and have half the league make it into the playoffs, because it will keep people from just dumping their team. I know that there's lots of controversy with late season trades before the trade deadline, but people know where they stand. and they try to hedge their bets for the next season. And if you have the top half of the league make the playoffs, then you're going to see drastically less of that.
Right, because there's more of a chance for
So what you're saying is we have a new division draft before the season. We go 4 divisions of 3 each. Division winner, and then the next 2 top record teams get the 5 and 6 seed, like the NFL kind of.
Exactly.
Wow.
And if you do the smaller division size, then you don't have to worry so much about, like, the year that I won, I came out of a really bad year. I pulled a full Giants, and I went 7-7 in the 7-7 in the regular season.
Yeah.
And both the first wild card and then the runner up to the wild card had better records than me. They had better points for. They had better points against. They should have been in it over me. Jack House kicked and screamed for an entire year.
That he did.
It.
He still does.
He still is. He still is.
The fact of the matter is that I apexed throughout the entire league, both games.
Yeah.
And so no one would have beaten me anyways, and I would have thrown a fit about that.
Yeah.
But if you make it so that you expand it to where it's 4 divisions with 3 teams in each, the top 4 teams are going to easily sweep it, and then there's only there's 8 more teams left, and the top 2 out of that have no place to say. They deserve the wild card, but after that, you really have no room to talk. We're not going to do a full 12-man playoff.
Now, I'm just imagining Jack and Kern rage, and I'm just imagining the wild card matchup happening, and the 6th seed pulling some bullshit victory off a team that hasn't lost all year. And I'm just imagining the mauling and seething that would happen. Do y'all, and Lippy too, do y'all think that that's a problem? Because I think it's really interesting. I don't know where I stand, but that would be problematic for a lot of people, I think.
If you do a 6-team playoff with the 17-team season, 17-game season, you just make the regular season the same amount. You have 14 games and then 3 playoff matches. The top 2 teams out of the division get byes.
Okay, so it would be like the 3 seed versus 6 and so on.
Yeah, because 18-week season, yes. 18-week season.
Yeah,
and that way, you don't have the top person get their upset, but also,
they get the bye. Sure. And I'm just talking this out. Would y'all be okay with still payouts go to top 4? And,
absolutely.
And if you lose the wild card weekend games, then nuts to you, because I think some people would be grumpy with these sneaking in teams getting some of the shekels, and I think there would be some outrage over that. But if you lose the wild card and don't get any money, then I think that would probably be fine too.
And I mean, there's always going to be the anomalies where it's the top 2 seeds have a bad week and they just had the bye, so they didn't have to worry about it. But you're the bottom 2 teams that have been missing the playoffs the last couple of years that we've done division, they've had great years. They built their team up. They made a great run, and honestly, they're probably some of the stronger players. I know this year I would have won if I had made the playoffs. I would have won the first round, lost the second round, no matter who I played.
Yeah.
And so, giving me that shot.
Would we play our division mates, since there's only going to be 2 division mates that you play? Do you play them 3 times? Do you play them 4 times in the season?
I would love 3 times. Holy.
Because I feel like you have to go up from 2 times if we're going to have that many divisions.
I don't know if your viewers know this, but I am the #1 bird killer on the Apex Coalition. You can go back and look. And to correct one of Kern's mistakes that he made, he actually traded me OBJ the year that he made the catch. He traded me the game before the catch while I was playing him. He thought he was robbing me blind.
Wow, that's awesome. Correcting him on the tape. First of all, we'd like to thank you for your service for being the #1 bird killer. Second...
So let me play him 3 times.
Yeah,
I'll get 3 free.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes the division draft so much more important. It's already very important, but wow, I'm so there for that. I know Jack is probably already rolling over, but yeah.
I mean, there's 14 regular season weeks. You'd play your division 6 times.
Yeah.
And then 8 for the rest.
Yeah.
You might not be able to make it through the whole, league that way, but, the NFL doesn't play every single team once every year.
Exactly. I mean, there's just... Yeah. Woo. I'm all excited now. This is why we have these great guests on the show, starting now. just sensational.
Spicy takes that no one can argue with me on.
Exactly. Lippy, have you ever heard someone successfully argue with Jonah?
I don't think I have. Jack and Kern have tried, and they've always failed.
Yeah, well, they're pretty terrible. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. I know, Jonah, you wanted to talk about some most improved players going forward and what the league's going to look like after this absolutely crazy one-of-a-kind year. And I'm kind of just going to give you the floor to kind of soapbox this and take it any direction you want.
Well, the one I want to soapbox most about, improved player is a big one because we're going to see a lot of talent bump up from last year to this year. I am a big preacher of rookies sitting out and then coming in maybe the year after they're drafted and really understand the playbook because like they're kids in college. Their playbooks are the size of like an 8th grader's notebook. And then you go to the NFL and it's a dictionary that they have to memorize and they never figure it out. I mean, look at Johnny Manziel. He fell on his face because he couldn't study the playbook. He wanted to go to Vegas. And so it's like, if you take these young guys who are just now all of a sudden millionaires out of like the limelight and you take them and like throw them in a dark room and make them watch film, they're going to come out a lot better. It's the Patrick Mahomes take.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think there's going to be a lot of really good talent coming into the NFL this year that needs to sit out. And they will be dynasty level players if you sit them out. But really what I wanted to talk about was the I don't know what the official thing, it's the comeback player of the year, the Alex Smith Award.
Yes, that's what it is.
We have so many injuries, so many crazy injuries of like marquee players. Like you had Dak Prescott snap his leg, you had OBJ tear his ACL, you had Saquon tear his ACL, Nick Bosa same way, and it's just
whole season, yeah,
and so it's like there's these marquee players. Like Nick Bosa was so big his rookie year that I forgot that he was a rookie.
Yeah.
Like he was just like one of those guys where it's like, and it's Bosa, and I got him confused with his brother because it's like you are playing like you've been in the league for 10 years. And then he immediately tears his ACL, and you have no idea if he's going to pull an Adrian Peterson and come back stronger than ever, or if he's going to like peter out, like he can't take it. My take this year is I think it's going to be Dak Prescott getting it, just because of how gruesome his injury was and how hot he was before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean they were putting up so much.
I think he could easily win that award. He was so good last year.
But you know, Saquon drops 2,000 rushing yards, like who's going, and 1,000 receiving yards. No one's going to deny him that he was the most integral part of that offense.
Yeah.
It was like when Peyton Manning had to get his spinal surgery, and I think they did it was the first year of the NFL Top 100, and they put him at 50, even though he didn't play. But the fact that he was absent from that team caused the Colts to completely fall apart.
Yeah, I mean, it led to the Andrew Luck pick, yeah.
Yeah, and so it just kind of shows like how integral you are as a player on that team when you're removed. Like, you know, OBJ got hurt, but Jarvis Landry stepped up, and a lot of the younger guys stepped up, and you're like, oh, okay, was OBJ really OBJ, or was it just like he was just a piece of the puzzle kind of thing?
Yeah.
But I think Dak Prescott and Saquon are truly the ones that you're going to look at it, and if the Giants go 10-6 and make the playoffs, you'll be able to look back and be like, yeah, that the reason why they're such ass water is because they don't have Saquon Barkley.
Are we getting a Giants playoff prediction in June from Jonah?
Giants and Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm calling Giants and Cowboys, honestly. I really, really like the AFC East this year. I think
there is the extra playoff spot again this year.
I think the AFC East is going to be the spiciest division by far to build fantasy players from, mainly because they're so bad. Like, for lack of a better word, none of them have defenses.
Yeah, it's the Big 12. The defenses are terrible. They're like, the Redskins might have the best. Yeah, I think the Redskins would have the best defense out of all of them. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the Eagles are making it, and I don't think the Redskins will. Yeah, I don't think the Eagles are making it, but I think the Eagles are going to give they're going to be like the Troy of the NFL. Like, no one's going to want to play them because if you lose to them, it's embarrassing, and if you beat them, it means nothing. Yeah. Yeah, they're just there to upset people's seasons. Yeah,
exactly, and I think they will. I think if you kick Doug Peterson to the curb, and you have Jalen Hurts, who I think is going to be a dominant quarterback in the league. He reminds me a lot of like almost like a Michael Vick, Phillip Rivers kind of hybrid.
Wow.
Where it's like he could sit there and be the statue quarterback that you want, but also he moves so freely. And adding Devontae Smith, that's definitely going to be the college wide receiver quarterback duo that's going to upset people. I know everyone's all up in arms about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I don't see it. I think Jamar Chase is probably the most. I think Jamar Chase is probably the most well-rounded wide receiver out of the draft class. But if you look at all of their highlights, which I spent all day doing, the most explosive players are also the ones with the biggest question marks against them. Like if you look at Tony and Devontae Smith and Perriman and all of these rookies that are coming in, they're so fast and small, and it's like Steve Smith Sr. is a Hall of Famer for a reason, and they said the exact same thing about him. They said the exact same thing about CMC. He's too small, he's going to break, and then all of a sudden they're the best.
Yeah.
So, can any of us name the Eagles' new head coach without looking it up right now, though?
It's Jalen Hurts.
No.
He's
Jalen
double
Hurts.
duty. They're getting great value out of that contract while they can, and he's the coach. Glippy, do you know it? I have no idea.
I have absolutely no idea. I'm about to Google it. I'm honestly not sure.
You know, as long as it's not Adam Gase. Like
it's Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, if it's not Adam Gase or Doug Peterson, I think they're good. Or, Billy-O.
Turns out Nick, whatever his name is actually the nephew of Adam Gase, so the Eagles are fucked.
Shit.
No, but I like what you said, Jonah, about people coming off the crazy year and so many injuries. It's definitely going to be interesting, and it's going to feel like in the middle of the season there's a lot more talent in the league than it did last year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's like all of this. I think Justin Jefferson really opened the floodgates for people to get really hyped about wide receivers.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is fine. I kind of wish we were like that there wasn't rookie drafts and it was all one big thing, because like I love the way our Apex is set up. I love that CEH went for $69 last year because he's not worth it.
Yeah, that was a tough pick, but then you see like years before when Saquon goes for the same amount and it pays off. So it definitely burns people.
I mean, if you look back a few years before that, like Zeke had the exact same hype that everyone else did, and he went to kneel for next to nothing. Like he went for $28, and then he was Rookie of the Year, and like that was truly the floodgate of like, okay, if I don't pick up this rookie running back, I'm going to miss out.
I'm going to regret it. Yeah. Let's go ahead. We're going to move on to the next slide, Jonah. We've had everyone kind of name their league winners, like people that are going to win people leagues, and it can be someone really high up at ADP or someone that's really going to be expensive in auction drafts, or it can be like a really nice value pick, but just depending on what your outlook is, and most people have named two. Who do you think is going to win people leagues this year, given the value of their pick or just the overall talent?
I think the league winner, I'm going to do two, because I already said Stephon Diggs, because he's proven himself as a league winner. Like, he wins people leagues, especially at the setup that they have now. Like, we've got a really great defense. Josh Allen's really coming into his own, and he's that guy there. Yeah. And so I think that's an explosive offense that's going to only do good things. I think if they don't win a Super Bowl, we're going to have another 4 falls of Buffalo, where it's like they make it to the Super Bowl back to back to back to back. It's going to be like the Packers in this conference final.
Yeah, I mean, that's great, Lippy, right? You get to watch all your folks in January still. That's still good. By the way, real quick aside, I hate to interrupt you. Lipman, I saw that Aaron Rodgers was wearing an I'm Offended t-shirt in an interview. Any thoughts on what that means for him going forward?
It's not ideal that we're not hearing anything. I guess it's not time to panic until training camp and then kind of the preseason games start happening, I guess. This is a good situation. No one's backing down. The Packers are backing up the GM. Rodgers is saying, get rid of the GM or I'm not coming back. It's ugly.
It's textbook, Lippy. It's going to be Jordan Love fighting for a spot against Teddy Bridgewater because the Packers traded Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos for Teddy.
Oh, God.
Like the Broncos are made to take your old aged Hall of Fame quarterbacks and win a Super Bowl out of them.
I really don't. I think the Packers will honestly tell Rodgers, you're either retiring or you're playing for us. There's no way we trade him. There's no way we get back a value. There's no value we get back in that. It's not worth it. He's either playing for us or he's not going to play for anyone. It's that simple, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think he revokes his contract, foregoes the money, and then gets picked up as free agent in September. If you guys do that, and then all of a sudden you're just getting dusted in the playoffs, and you're like, oh, why did we do that? We could have gotten at least like a 3rd round pick out of him.
Well, we'll leave Lippy's tears for a little bit later in the preseason. So we've gone over Diggs, Jonah. Other than the absolute auto league winning wide receiver that is Stephon Diggs, who else have you got as a league winner?
I think it's going to be a real sleeper pick, and it's all or bust with him. But I'm going to say Sam Darnold. I'm going to say if you pick up Sam Darnold with the Panthers. Everyone's
so oddly topical.
He got picked up by the Jets, and if we all have eyes, we all watch their games. The Jets have been a dumpster fire forever, and he's going to a team that has chemistry. Curn, I've watched all of the episodes. Curn talks about chemistry like there's no tomorrow about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase for their 1 year. Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson have 3 years of experience, and I would like to remind everyone listening that Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow.
Ooh, he is.
Wow.
Okay.
So he has 4 more years of NFL experience, has not gotten injured under Adam Gase's awful offense and the awful Jets offensive line, and now gets to move to a team that actually has a defense, actually has no line, has CMC as a safety net, not even as a prime target, as a safety net. And then he has his 3 years of great chemistry, Robbie Anderson, who had a phenomenal year. He didn't get a lot of touchdowns, but he broke 1,000 yards receiving. He had a lot of catches. He had a lot of targets. He was a solid player, and I think you give him a quarterback that's not Teddy Spaghetti Legs. I think he was great.
Hey, Jonah, I do have one question on this fantastic take, by the way. Robbie Anderson and Darnold literally just together before 2 years ago in New York.
Oh, well, okay, sorry. So they at least have the same amount of chemistry as Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that
only
beautiful. I mean, just great take.
Yeah.
Darnold may be a top 10 quarterback this year. Great stuff, Jonah.
And I think he'll go for $3.
Ooh.
Mainly because someone will upbid me whenever I, put him out there.
I think his name's Matthew Lippman. Lippy and I have had a few conversations this week about Darnold, and Jonah, I know you'll probably be on Lippy's side given this, and I am a real dumb peanut-brained man. I just think Darnold is bad. Tell me, what we'll see. What you know what? I'm not going to rehash it out with Lippy. I don't have anything other than the eye test of just thinking that is not a good.
They already picked up his 5th year option. He got rid of being done under Gase. He's got CMC. They're not going to focus on him. All he's got to do is not be a dumbass, and he'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, he's quicker than you'd think. He's got an extremely strong arm. He came from he went to USC as a solid college background. He was a top draft pick in his year, and he's young. People think that they've just been seeing. Yeah. People think that he's 26, 27. I think he's 24 years old.
I did not know that stat. That was insane that he's younger than Burrow. That's really crazy.
Burrow was real old when he came out. I want to say Lamar's the same age as Burrow. Yeah, Darnold's 24.
It's just, I think Joe Burrow, for all the hype behind him, I think he's a
Lamar's
great quarterback.
24. Wow.
But you've shown that he is injury prone, and he is not a youthful quarterback. And so I think you get 6 years out of Burrow if you're lucky. I think he makes it to 30.
Well, that should get a few folks real fired up in the comments here. Wow.
The man doesn't know how to slide. How do you play at a quarterback level in the NFL and not know how to get down?
That's a great question, Jonah. I don't know.
You become RG3 and sign a deal with Fox soon. Let's go ahead and move on. And I like that we got your take about the expanded divisions and playoff structure. I think that's really, really interesting, and I actually want to kind of talk to folks in the league about that going forward. One thing that was a prominent discussion, I think in the previous episode or the one before that, I'm not sure which, was the idea of removing market keepers. And I wanted to just pick your brain, because I know as a fellow believer of the keeper bump that you're a well-informed man on the subject, and I wanted to know, would you support removing market keepers so people don't get to keep these people forever?
Okay, yeah, this has been a bee in my bonnet probably since the off season that we started doing keepers, because I did not know that we were doing market keepers. And like, to give the folks back at home a little insight onto the corruption of our great Lord and Savior Curn, he didn't tell people. Well, I guess he did. It was buried in like long go group me.
Some obscure paragraph, yes.
Obscure bylaws deep in group.
It was very clearly stated in a bunch of places on Facebook group me. Yes,
that you could pick up a player off of the waivers and keep him for their draft prices. And he and Hunter McClendon picked up Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones for $1 off the waiver. And you know that no one knew about it, because who out there is just sitting there with their hand down their pants, not picking up Joe? Like, there should have been like a crazy fist fight for them on the waivers if people were aware of that.
So Jonah, I hate to burst your bubble here. That's only if they drafted and then dropped the player.
Right,
So he dropped Aaron Jones, and then I picked him up and traded Aaron Jones to Curn late in the offseason. The same happened with Jack and Nick Chubb to Hunter.
No, I specifically remember like one of them being picked up postseason off the waivers. It wasn't like they were floating around.
No, there was some shadow magic with the Nick Chubb situation with Jack and Hunter.
They split the difference.
Yeah, they were going to refund and they made a deal to trade the other one later so they could save draft dollars. It
was ridiculous. I was outraged by that, and then after that, I didn't know, like, of course, because I can't read, that's my trademark. I didn't realize that you could keep people for their market value, and I raised absolute hell. I think I posted well over 300 consecutive messages in GroupMe, just really pissed people off. A lot of people went on mute.
It was beautiful.
I just ranted because I saw it as, if you keep players for market, it takes money out of the auction draft system.
Yes.
Because, at the time it was ESPN that was setting our prices. And they were setting prices ridiculously low. It was like Kamara coming off of a historic season, and then a second-year historic season, and then he was at like $55.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. Like, people would pay, like, if CEH is going for $69 now, people would have paid $75 for Kamara.
Yeah.
There's too many Saints fans out there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, so he goes for $55. That money's out of circulation, and all of the preceding players after that would have raised prices because those players are off the board. The money's already out for less than what it would, because if you pay $75 and pay $55,
keeper bump.
Yes, it is literally a keeper bump. Yes, the market value does not account for all of the other players kept. There is an inherent keeper bump. Absolutely.
And so all of a sudden you're drafting, the T.Y. Hilton for $44, even though he should have gone for 30 something.
Yeah.
And that affects the drafted player keeper value. Like, now you're definitely not going to make him a keeper option because he's overpriced. And so it just forces everyone to start I'll just take market. I'll just take market. And then they keep players forever. Look at Tilas. He's kept Kamara forever since Kevin Cole gave him to him.
Yeah. I mean,
and look at Curn. CMC has been on his team forever.
Exactly. As I said, I've never been into Apex and seen CMC. He's never been on my draft board ever a single time. I've never had the opportunity of drafting him.
Not once.
Yeah.
And
only one dumbass drafted him and traded him away.
And so it's just watching this. It's like it takes it takes the superstars out of drafting, and that drafting is part of the best part of the game. It goes drafting,
the year.
winning, trading.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, automatically 24 of the top players, or the top steals, because there are a few. There, like, I kept James Conner for $1 after Le'Veon Bell held out.
Yeah.
And it was an okay keep. It was definitely worth the value of the money. But for the majority of the time, at least one person keeps a market keeper. I'm, like, having to fight with it now. Do I keep DeAndre Hopkins at market value? I know it's going to be like $63, but it's the number 2 wide receiver in the league.
Right.
And honestly, if you gave him an open bidding war, he would probably go for 70, and so I'm saving $7.
Yeah. Instead of it being a value draft-based decision, it's just a guaranteed I get this player decision for a non-ridiculously inflated price. One of the problems with auction is because of these market keepers. Jonah, first of all, I'd just like to say these are some of the most intelligent takes we've ever had on the show, and the Google Analytics will tell us that you rate much higher than old Jack and Curn. I think, and for very different reasons. Jack and Curn support removing the market keepers too, but there is the common thread of there is agreement that it's not great for the draft or for the league. So, especially with kind of a lot of different perspectives and reasons why, I think we can get market keepers to be. This will be the last year they exist. I think that I have every confidence in that.
I mean, I protested it last year by keeping Saquon and Zeke for market, even though it left me with $61.
We talked about that. Yeah, like
I think last.
Yeah, like it was phenomenal. Like, obviously, great keeps. I mean, no one could have predicted the Saquon injury. I certainly didn't when I traded.
I mean, I clearly did because I traded him before the season started.
Jonah and Whippy knew. Y'all knew. But yeah, I think that this will be the last year they happen, and I'm really happy about that. And it sounds like if everyone from every different perspective is about it, then it's just going to be a really easy vote, and we'll be able to take care of it. Good deal.
There's always some that don't like to change.
No, yeah, but like, honestly, it just makes the draft that much more better because the amount of money you put down, like, there won't be the meme $69 bids anymore. There'll just be like people actively trying to lower the prices of the players that they want so that they could potentially keep them.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Moving on, and let's go ahead. We've had everyone predict their Super Bowl winner. Jonah, who's bringing it all home NFL-wise this year?
All home. Yeah, that's a hard one. I think the Chiefs are pissed, and they still have their cheat code team minus Le'Veon Bell, but honestly, Le'Veon's washed.
Yeah.
He took the year off and went skiing in Miami and jet skiing in Miami, and it kind of screwed him over. He never was the same. He got absolutely bent by Adam Gase and then was a backup to a rookie. Like, you're not coming back from that. And but other than that, like, we're still having CEH in his second year. I think he's only going to get better. He just has to learn how to catch the ball consistently from the greatest quarterback in the league right now. And then, you still have Speedy Tyreek, you still have Kelsey, you still have all these young wide receivers that are just getting absolutely padded with stats because no one's throwing the ball like Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah.
And so I think Patty's saying that he wants to go 17-0 and win a Super Bowl. And I don't think he'll be able to do that, but I think he goes 15-2 and wins a Super Bowl.
Ooh. Who do they beat in the Super Bowl, sir?
Ooh, in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, who's coming out of the NFC? Let's get that from you too.
NFC
stacked. That's a tough conference.
It is a tough conference, but also
the Saints are going to be incredible with Jameis there, obviously.
God, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it could be a supercharged Cowboys team with Dak back. I mean, it's really tough to say because the NFC, I think, is so much more cutthroat. It's the West of the Western Conference in the NBA of the NFL. As an AFC fan, I totally understand that it's so much more top heavy. So it's tough.
If I had to throw out a name, I would say the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have a ridiculous defense. And Hop is still there. Kyler Murray is coming into his own. I have a good talking point about Kyler Murray as related to this year's rookies later on, if you guys want to bring that back up. But yeah, I think they just have the elite offense, and then with JJ Swat coming in, I think playing with them on Madden is going to be really fun for me because I love rushing the edge, and if you put any kind of pressure, like if you try to double team JJ, the ends are just going to crush you.
I like the Cardinals a lot, mostly because they've just been able to choose whatever players they like from the Texans, and they go over there for free, even though JJ got a massive contract. But yeah, what was your insight to Kyler?
Well, it's just the real reason is I just absolutely hate Zach Wilson, and so I have like this whole stat brought up right now of quarterbacks that are better than them. And we know Sunshine's going to do things. I don't think that he's going to do anything this year because I think Urban Meyer's going to try and push his old college tactics onto the NFL, and that's never worked once. I can totally see them trying to run the pistol with their Etienne and Robinson in the backfield.
Yeah.
And just give the rookie some really easy passes to the slots, just out to the flats, just as like a precaution, because all they have is DJ Shark downfield, and so like he's going to have to like get the ball quick.
Marvin Jones though, but no, you're right.
Marvin Jones is only good against the Packers.
Yeah, that's good for 2 wins a year.
But I think the ticker out here is, and it's what's pissed me off because I just watched him absolutely demolish Nebraska, was that Justin Fields gets no respect. And like I have all of his stats pulled up, and it's like he had a better he had the exact same college experience that Kyler Murray had. He played for the SEC for 1 year, got a couple reps in, got a better offer to go to a different school. He went to Ohio State. Kyler went to Oklahoma, but like. Here, I have it right here. His Kyler Murray's college stats. His best season was his junior year, of course. He was completing 69% of his passes, had 4,300 yards. Outstanding. That is truly impressive in a 14-game season, with 42 touchdowns, and absolutely number one deserving overall draft pick right there.
Yeah.
You flip it, and Justin Fields, his junior year, he had. I'm going to go off his sophomore year because, as Lippy knows, the Big Ten only had 8 games. But in 8 games, he had 2,100 yards and 22 touchdowns, which is pretty impressive for an 8-game span. But his sophomore year, his first year at Ohio State, he passed for 68%, had 3,200 yards, and 41 touchdowns. So pretty much the exact numbers that Kyler Murray had a year later.
Oh no!
Justin Fields was pulling as a sophomore.
Absolutely, I love Justin Fields. Curn is a Justin Fields hater for no other reason than he doesn't quite like him so much.
The 40-yard dashes, Kyler had a 4.38. Justin Fields had a 4.44. So it's 0.6 seconds off. They're just as fast. And if you watch any of Justin Fields' highlights, he makes 50-yard passes effortless. It looks like he's just dropping the football into the hands of whatever receiver he's throwing it to. And it's so frustrating because he does not look like he's trying, but all of a sudden the ball is 50 yards down the field.
Yeah. I love that.
Jonah.
Yeah.
I think with his speed, with his accuracy, and then with David Montgomery and AR-12 as his weapons, I think
absolutely.
I think he's going to have the biggest impact of any of the rookie quarterbacks.
So Jonah, if you're an NFL franchise, would you rather have Justin Fields or Aaron Rodgers right now? Right now,
I think Aaron Rodgers only has 3 years left. So if I'm trying to win now, I take Aaron. But if I'm trying to make a dynasty, I'm keeping Justin.
Ooh, okay, Justin Fields or Justin Herbert?
Ooh,
that's a great question, Lippy.
It depends. Yeah, that is a great question. It depends on what the surrounding teams look like. I think Herbert has a very similar team.
We're talking NFL 32 teams fantasy draft. You're on the clock. You either get Justin Fields or Herbert, or someone else. But you're trying to pick your QB of the future.
I'm taking Herbert just from the 1 year of experience.
That's the right.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
Yeah, like I would want to take, like, it's the rookie hype. I even buy into it, but it's like Herbert's a year out. He has the year of NFL experience. We know that he can take a hit. We know that he pops back up and then throws a 40-yard dime. Like, yeah, I'm taking Herbert.
Yeah. That's the right answer. Jack's a known Herbert hater, but anyone with any sense would say that too. And I love Fields. One thing that we talked about Darnold having the Gase effect. I think Matt Nagy might be the same way. I know that the report came out that, like, he did the interview saying that there's no possible scenario where Fields starts week 1. And I thought, well, that means two things. One, I think Matt Nagy's a troll. But also, I think what very well could happen is the same thing that happened to Deshaun. Other than, he didn't start.
Yeah, the sexual assault.
Other than that, I don't think the same thing there is going to happen. Hopefully, not for the nice people.
Fingers crossed, for the sake of the league.
Yeah. For the sake of the massage therapist. But the week 1, Deshaun didn't get started either. Tom Savage got the nod, and he got pulled at halftime. So I think that's possible, or he gets put in after 1 or 2 games, which is tough, for redraft. But I don't know if you're going to redraft Fields very high anyway. But
correct me if I'm wrong. What's the quarterback situation there? I know it's Andy Dalton and Trubisky are still there, but didn't Carson Wentz?
Trubisky's the backup in Buffalo, sir.
Yep, Trubisky's gone. Dalton's the one. Apparently, he's been really awesome. Like, him and his wife took Fields out to dinner. Apparently, Dalton's being a stand-up guy, and he's staying late in practice to go over stuff with Fields. So, I think Andy's being just a decent fella. It's not his fault in the situation, and he's embracing it as much as he can. But I don't know how long we're going to see him as the starter. But according to Nagy, there is no possible scenario where Fields takes the first snap of the season.
Honestly, that's the biggest red flag I have in my mind with Justin Fields, is that he's taking advice from Andy Dalton. I think that's the biggest recipe for disaster. That man is not an NFL caliber quarterback. You can say all you want about him taking the Bengals to the playoffs, but he got dusted every single time.
Oh, I know.
By the Houston Texans.
I know. He gave us like over half of our franchise playoff wins. We were big fans of Andy Dalton being the opponent. I think probably by game 2, game 3, Fields will be in.
I agree with that. I think the biggest one that needs to sit out is Trey Lance. He needs to sit out the full last year. They have Jimmy G, who is a decent quarterback. They've got a solid defense. I think they do a lot better with Nick Bosa back on their defense, because there was a Super Bowl caliber team with him, and then a piss poor excuse for an NFL team without him. But I think,
would you rather have Trey Lance or Justin Fields, Jonah?
I would rather have Justin Fields. I think he's the immediate impact guy, but I could totally see Trey Lance being the Patrick Mahomes type if he gets the proper training underneath him and allows him to adjust to the league. If you look at the last quarterback that came out of South Dakota State, that was an NFL impact, was Carson Wentz. And if you don't want your face of the franchise 3rd overall pick to turn out like Carson Wentz, you need to sit him out and let him learn.
So let's say we're in a dynasty superflex rookie draft, Jonah. You have the 2nd pick. Trevor Lawrence just went off the board. Who are you taking, sir?
Justin Fields.
Wow. Okay, where do you think Trey Lance goes? Just properly.
I'd take Pitt second, probably.
If you gave me 12 first-round draft picks and I just got to pick the order in which they get taken.
Absolutely, yes. That's what's happening here.
Okay. You got to take Trevor Lawrence. It's sunshine to Jacksonville.
Beautiful. Okay.
Is a good fit. His fan base is down in that area. You take the fans from Clemson and you just throw a Jaguars jersey on them, and I think it makes the most sense for that franchise, and he's a great quarterback. Surprisingly quick for his baby deer look to him, but yeah, I think he does pretty good long term in the league. Justin Fields, I think, is going to be the biggest immediate impact, and as long as he stays out of trouble and he keeps his nose down, I think he has long term Lamar Jackson value to him. Kyler Murray, Kyler, Russell Wilson, just these speedy, accurate guys that everyone said was running backs, but actually, or wide receiver, whatever you want to call them, but is actually a phenomenal quarterback. After that, I probably switch over to the wide receiver role. I think you really need to pick up the strong ones there. I like Jalen Waddle as a standard receiver.
Really?
And then Jamar Chase for sure. Jamar Chase, he is probably the best all-around receiver, but there's no single razzle dazzle about him. It's not like he's the speediest guy. It's not like he's the tallest guy. It's not like he has the most hops. He's just the marquee quintessential wide receiver for the NFL, and I think he's going to do really well from that. But no, I don't think he's like going to be the Justin Jefferson next year. Then
so we're at pick 5 now. So we got T-Law, Fields, Waddle, Chase.
Then at 5 you go Trey Lance, and then you go Devontae Smith at 6.
And then you're forgetting about Najee Harris, sir.
Yeah, I am not. I like Najee Harris a lot. I don't like him for the Steelers. He reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell, in which he kind of moves really smart and patiently within the tackles. But once you get him into the open field, he has no regard for his own safety. If you watch his highlights, the entire time I'm watching him, and I'm like, oh, if that were an NFL linebacker, he no longer has a knee. If that were an NFL safety, he's out for 3 weeks with a concussion protocol. Because he leads with his head, and he likes to jump a lot. And I guarantee you that jumping over a 5'9" linebacker from Ole Miss, who weighs half your body weight soaking wet, is not going to be the same as getting absolutely creamed by some of these NFL linebackers. And I think he's going to do really well. I think his yards per carry is going to be probably pretty high. I think he's going to probably have 4 yards per carry, but I don't think he's going to break it out to the edge. And give him open field, he's going to hurt himself.
There's some nasty defenses in the AFC North. There's some tough. I mean, that's not a great place to be a running back.
And Big Ben does not have the arm, and Najee Harris, he's a good pass catcher, so he's going to get a lot of the safety valve, short slot,
hit a lot.
Flat.
Yeah.
And he's going to get hit a lot from everywhere. He's going to get hit by the lineman, the linebacker, every single play. He's going to get hit by the corners out in the flats. And if he manages to get out in the open field, he's going to test his luck with the safety. And I guarantee you that, you're going to get absolutely laid out by these safeties. These safeties are stronger than you are, son.
Yeah.
It's not college football anymore. And the way he plays, he's either going to have to tone it way back, or he's just going to absolutely get hurt.
Hopefully coaching can help with some of that, because I think he will have to change it a little bit.
And I do like Mike Tomlin. I think he is a good coach to help that out. But he is the carbon copy of Le'Veon Bell, James Conner. Like, he is just the next one up.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. They spent a first on him. We'll see how much they get back for that. I do, kind of in the interest of time, want to kind of move on here. Now, this was Lippy's idea, and it is a brilliant one. We've got your Super Bowl predictions. Jonah, as the chairman of the Nebraska Propaganda Committee, talk us through Nebraska's projection for you.
Yes.
I never pulled up their schedule. I know that's going to be a rough season. With Christian McCaffrey's little brother transferring, I got really bleak.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
Yeah, Luke McCaffrey was hands down our best quarterback, and for some reason, Scott Frost decided to have a 2-quarterback system, and if you ask anybody with any brain cells, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
I say...
We can just pencil in Nebraska for a loss on October.
Okay. You guys count it out for me. We got Illinois win, Fordham win, Buffalo win. So we're going to start off 3-0.
3-0, let's go.
I think we're going to absolutely get destroyed by Oklahoma, and it's going to break my heart because I watched Oklahoma squeak out a Big 12 championship from us live, and that was heartbreaking as a fan. Michigan State, I say that one's going to be a close game, but I think we squeaked that one out. And honestly, I say we win 5 games. I think we beat Purdue, Michigan State, Buffalo, Fordham, and Illinois.
That's a tough
season. I think we lose.
Everything else?
Yeah, everything else. We lose to Oklahoma, we lose to Northwestern, we lose to Michigan. We lose to Minnesota. Yeah, it's about time. We haven't played each other in a while, and I guarantee you that it's going to be an ugly game. Neither team looks that good this year.
Yeah.
For some reason, we can't beat Minnesota at all. And then Ohio State's just going to treat us like a high school scrimmage. Same with Wisconsin. And then Iowa's going to disappoint me on Thanksgiving.
Well, hopefully you're wrong, and it's a fine year for the Cornhuskers. I do want to just take this moment to say, Jonah, thank you for joining us. This has been a pleasure, and you are an outstanding guest, and I hope that this is the first of countless shows that you appear on. Before you go, and before we wrap this up and hit the old end button here, do you have any message you'd like to give to the league, or anyone in particular you'd like to call out, or anything you'd like to say of any kind?
I think the most important thing that I can say is that Jack better enjoy his current keepers, because as soon as he loses those, I don't think anybody with any kind of auction capital is ever going to let him buy the team that he had last year.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, if Dalvin Cook somehow magically gets traded to him for nothing again, I'm chemically castrating whoever made that trade.
Tyler Lockett and David Montgomery. David Montgomery was a top 8 running back last year.
I think he was RB4. I think he was RB4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never got to experience any of that. You traded him to me for what? Like,
so?
Hey, don't bring that up, Jonah. Don't bring that up.
You didn't get it. Like, you make too many trades. Like that will be my last word. Lippy makes too many trades and has
I have more legacy points than you. I have.
Oh, well, congratulations to that while I sit here with my shiny ring.
30 minutes ago.
Jonah, are you going to call out Curn for
nothing.
week 1 in Apex? Will you call out Curn week 1 Apex division matchup, since you guys are in the same division?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Curn has been honoring these. Are you going to call for a matchup with Curn week 1? He will
the
honor
number 1
adjust
bird
the
killer
schedule.
versus the bird.
I not only will call out Curn week 1, but I will make a season-long name bet with Curn.
Oh,
Wow.
my God.
Wow.
Okay, so what we've got, it's up to you, Curn. I know you're listening. You're called out week 1 to face Jonah. Season-long name bet. Let's see if Curn has the mustard. Jonah, thank you again. I know it's been a pleasure for me. I know Lippy's love having you too. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Anytime. Bring me on.
This-
I'd love to talk to. I hate talking to Curn behind his back. Let him bring back and let the fans decide who they like more.
Let's go. All right. Thank you so much.